because in a national education policy, it is mentioned that children needs to have a scientific attitude. And from the beginning, if this attitude is developed in the children, later on in life, they will see the rationale of any event or anything which is happening in his life. And it's very important that children needs to have a logical and a rational mind when they are entering into the 21st century. So NEP, this document has very clearly mentioned about development of children in this way. So what we see is children, they have a lot many dreams and lot of imagination already they have, and they have a curious mind. So our job is 50% done, because our children, they have a dream, they want to touch the moon, they have a dream to wish and fly in the rocket, and sometimes they even dream to fly like a parachute. So these are the dreams which they have mentioned in some or the other places. And sometimes they said, even I want to see how the underwater life looks like, because all these things we talk in a preschool. And then when we talk, some children, they give this idea, I want to see, I want to know, on the screen or in the chart you're showing like this, but underwater how it looks. That is a curiosity of the children, and because of those curiosity, they have so many different types of ideas. And these are the ideas that the children are making. These ideas are helping them in their life. Some of them, they want to become a pilot and fly. But some of the children, those who are sitting in the aeroplane, they cry, You told me that you take me in auto rickshaw. Why you are why you are taking me in an aeroplane? I don't want to go to the aeroplane. So they have a dream that way also. And when we have a role play, that times in the role play, they are showing that they want to become a scientist. Some of the children, they want to fly on the buildings, especially Bombay high-rise building. They want to fly over it. They want to fly like a balloon. So these are certain dreams which children have shown in multiple times, in multiple ways. So these are the documents which are there, scientific documents which are mentioned that children, they dream in a very different way. So now we are coming to understand that how this young children, the science and scientific attitude develop in young children. With this background, now I'm trying to again go back to the slideshow. Maybe I'll be successful to get this slideshow, because I'm not very happy with this kind of presentation. But as soon as go for the slideshow, it throws me out. Uh, eh, the slide is seen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
slide is being shown.
Wow. So now I'm looking like an educated person. Okay. Some of the children, they have questioned, especially in the rainy season, what makes it rain? So that is the question which has come. Why does the sun set? What makes grass grow? So when they ask, because children, they have a curious mind, and here I will like to tell you, this curiosity is not when the children, they have come to the preschool. So and they are talking about some of the observations which are made in early years, also in a mother child program, where the children are 18 months old and they are coming to the daycare center. So what are the observations? Some of the observations I would like to share with you. Uh, One of the 18-month-old child, he was playing with the pen, and he was opening the pen, closing the pen, taking out the lid from the pen and then putting it back. So the teacher has given the newspaper to him. He started holding the pen and scribbling on the newspaper. So this activity went on. After some time, the teacher has observed, after a few days, teacher has observed what he did. He opened the pen, taken out the refill, and start scribbling from the refill. So see, he doesn't have the language. He cannot say what he's doing. But he started scribbling from the refill. And after scribbling from the refill, then he has the idea. he kept the refill, and whatever the without refill the pen was there, he started scribbling from it. So he is using his mind in a very different way. And then he knew this doesn't write, but what writes is this. So this differentiation he is knowing. And after he solved his own problem, which was in his mind, he again put the refill back, and the pen has come in a normal shape. So what I'm trying to say here, 18-month-old child has also shown that he has a scientific mind, scientific brain, and curiosity is till that extent that what exactly is happening with this instrument or this tool, which is called pen, which is called pain. Sorry, which is called pen. So this is what we need to understand here, that children, they have a curious mind, and because they have a curious mind, so it's very easy for us to work on it and bringing out his scientist in early age only. So there are so many questions which teachers can ask. What will happen if? These kind of questions from the according to the child's level, according to the child's development, according to the context of the child, they can frame the questions, and these kind of questions definitely help children to think. And once they start thinking, you see different things are coming out in the classroom. So children are really scientists, I can say. They have a natural curiosity, and they manipulate the object, they experiment with the object. And like this, the example I have given of the pen, this example is showing that children, they understand a lot many things which many times we underestimate the power of the child. So is this clear to all of you, what I'm saying? My speed is okay? I'm audible to you? Because the number has come to 64 participants. So I don't want to like say, but I want to know from all of you. Am I audible? Can you write in the chat box? Am I audible?
Ma'am, you're perfectly audible.
Yeah. And this speed is okay for all of you?
Yes, ma'am. All okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Great, great. And whatever the questions are coming in their mind, sometimes these children, they experiment and solve by themselves, and sometimes it happens like children, they ask the questions. So both ways, when the language comes, they start asking, and when the language is not there, they experiment by themselves. So if you see these 21st century children, they are very different, because their observation power, they wander from one place to another. They have um, around them, there are so much uh, reading material, books are there, some magazines are there, newspapers are there. So around them, lot of literature is there. They investigate, they discover, they question. So all these things shows these children are very different than the other children. Now for the scientists, I don't have to tell science, but still I'd like to say, Lily, can you you're audible here. So, what is science? For this, in early years, we define science in a very different way. We say it is a creation of human mind. So, what children are creating, that is science. So, science is a creation of human mind with its freely inventive ideas and concepts. And you will be seeing the ideas which is coming from the children. They are very different ideas than the ideas which are in the mind of adult. So they're very interesting to observe and listen to this particular age group. So science is everywhere. Science is not just limited to school. Science is at home, science is in school, and science in the community also. So it's depend upon children's observation, how they observe in the community, and bringing the understanding of scientific facts, or bringing the understanding of a rational or analysis of the thing which is happening in the community. So science is everywhere. That is what we need to understand. Science process, if you see, basically in science there are so many processes involved, and the children, they are doing the process. While doing the process, they are developing the skills, and these skills are required to become a later on, do higher level of experiments. So basically what we need to understand here is that the science process skills are very much introduced to the children in a early age, because early age is a time when the children, they have a observant mind, and these observant mind we need to really develop in children, because in early years we are developing all senses. So maybe it's a touch, smell, taste, listen, learn about the environment, all these things which children are doing because they're observing. And I will like to tell the participants, the 68 participants, for the observation, we have done one activity where what we did is, on a A4 size paper, we have given different leaf scan to the children. And those who have seen,
ఓకే నేను వస్తాను సెకండరీ వెళ్తాను
can you switch off them, because people are talking? So, do you have any question? If you have any question, you can write in the chat box. I will see time to time chat box. Okay, but please don't speak here. Write it down. Your observations, suggest, comments, anything on the chat box. Okay, so here what we are trying to say is, this for observation skill, this experiment which we have done on A4 size paper, we have given the scan of the leaf to the children. And those who have seen the SNDT Juhu campus, there you can see we have a beautiful greenery there. So we told children from this place to that place. So we identify the place and give them the sheet of paper and say, this leaf, you identify which, from which tree this leaf is there. So what children have paper in their hand. They observe the leaf, and they're observing a leaf, and they say, no, this leaf is different. In what way different? So then they say, oh, this way this is different. They're talking to themselves, not to the teacher, not to other children, but they speak their mind verbally. So most of the children, they speak their mind orally. So if you are a good teacher, listen to their mind. It's very interesting what is happening in their mind. So like this, they're observing, and once they find the leaf, which is identical to the on the paper, scanned paper, the leaf, then they're very happy. This is the leaf. It's the same leaf. So like this kind of activities, the observation power of the children develop. Then experiments. There's so many experiments can be done in 3 to 8 years. Now we are talking about foundation years. So science for 3 to 8 years. So in this age, in the classroom, you can have one corner, science corner in the classroom, where the children can do experiments. And while doing the experiments, while doing the practice, you can see a lot of changes come in the children. Then science, where the skill develop is collaborate with the children are doing sometimes together, and most of the time scientific activity they are doing together. So they collaborate, they write their they cannot write their observations, so they can scribble something about their thought. So they write their mind, what is happening in their mind, on a piece of paper. So that opportunity should also be given. Those tools should be given to them, and whatever their observation, whatever they are saying, just write it down. Just what they say, write it down and keep as a record. So you will be knowing what children were saying after doing the experiment. They measure, they sort, they classify. So like this, so many activities they are doing, and with these activities they are developing the skills. These are the scientific skills. Apart from that, some of the activities which are related to mathematics, because math is also part of the science. So they are doing comparing. So in the comparing, some measurements they are comparing, counting they are comparing, quantifying the things in one bottle. In one bottle, how many cup of water goes? So this kind of experiments also they do. In one bottle, I can pour only 2 cup of water and this bottle is filled. So like these kind of simple experiments can be done. And through these experiments, children, they see the similarity and differences. So like this, they do comparing, they do classification, where they are doing sorting of the objects. They are making groups of the similar objects. Because later on, when the children are doing high level of maths, they have to do grouping. So this kind of grouping they do in early years, and this concept of grouping later on help them in doing mathematics in their higher classes. So they do all this classification of size, shape, color, taste, all these material they can use, or different shapes or different color material they can use and do the classification. Then communicating. Children, they are communicating in their own ways about their observations. So that also is very interesting to observe, that children have their own way of sharing their observations, sharing their findings, and sharing their understanding. Can you give the example? Anybody can give the example how they communicate?
The laptop is there. It is not.
Hello, we can't hear Rita ma'am.
Ma'am,
हेलो
ma'am is on mute mode.
तो आप बताइए उनको.
हाँ बोला है.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
now we can hear you.
Okay,
Uh,
great. So they can share the information like Priya has told about drawing. Yes, Priya, after drawing, what I was trying to say is you can ask questions. So this, unless of uh, just guessing what you guessing, let the children guess what they have found out. So many times we as a teacher start guessing, we should start answering. Like for example, when we have an experiment where we are doing, it's a very common experiment, almost all schools are doing. So I'm taking the example of that experiment where they do uh, putting the paper and a stone in the water, so floating and sinking, this kind of experiment all schools are doing. So before you start the experiment, the information which you need to gather from the children is, what do you think, what will happen if I put the paper in the water? So this kind of we, in a very scientific language, we say hypothesis, but here we are not using the term hypothesis, but we need to ask the children what they guess, what will happen. And then if you perform the experiment, then they get then they are very interesting to see what happened next. So these all skills which I told you, they are very, very important for the cognitive development. And then what is cognitive development? Cognitive development, it means reasoning, thinking, analyzing, rationalizing. All these things are part of the cognition. So children, when they do experiment, then or exploration, then the cognitive development take place. So we need to encourage lot of scientific activities in a classroom. Now I'll be showing you how the children's mind work. So in this, you write in the chat box, what is happening in this picture? What is happening in this picture? Can you see the picture?
Yes, yes, Rita, we can see.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is happening in this picture is a simple question. I thought,
Come on, what is happening in the picture?
Ma'am, child is trying to show something to the parent or mentor, whoever is there. She's trying to look or recollect. There are various things that you can say.
who is, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Lily Joseph.
Lily, can you observe again, Lily?
I see that she's kind of looking in the picture and trying to flip it back, maybe show something exactly what is
Lily, I
picturized
heard
in her mind.
71 participants are there. Anybody else? Anybody else?
The
Pictures from
child
the album.
wants to see all the pictures. It's turning one by one.
I think it's an मतलब टेलर वाला मैगजीन टेलर के पास जो अलग अलग कपड़े होते हैं उसका मैगजीन होगा.
Okay, Lakshmi has seen the tailor ka kapड़ों का magazine. Anybody
Yeah.
else? Anybody else?
मैम आई थिंक वो बच्चे पेज टर्न करने में एंजॉय कर रहे हैं.
Okay, so here in this picture, some magazine is given to the child. Child is flipping the pages. That is what is happening in this picture. Okay, just flipping the picture. Now what is happening in this picture?
He's looking at pictures of watches, maybe.
Shaheen, you are saying he's looking at the pictures of all. Shaheen, see it a little more closely.
Observing.
He's concentrating on.
Concentrating and
Yeah, Madhu, he is keenly looking. So concentrating is also very good
maybe he's
because
trying to find some similarity of something he has seen.
right now he is turning the page. He has turned the pages and tilted body is showing
Yes.
keenly. And that is what Madhu has talked about, concentrating. So now in this page he stopped and keenly observing something. Okay. Then what happened?
Pointing out at something.
Now, Madhu,
Point-
you're right. He's pointing out what he
Something particular.
particular. He is pointing out.
Yes.
Okay. Then teacher show the similar thing to the child. So what child is doing?
Comparing.
Comparing. Pratibha, what else? How he is comparing?
Pointing out to the picture. It's point.
Finding out of the picture.
Comparing with the wristwatch of that lady.
Mom
with
is wearing the lady.
So here the child has observed the watch. He has, when the teacher has put, now he is touching, he is feeling. So observation is there, touch is there, feel is there. All these information are going in the brain of the child. Okay. And the child's brain is working. Okay. And do you remember there used to be a watch which used to make tick tick noise? Yes or no? Can you write in the chat box?
Yes, so audio is also one of the things that he is getting exposed to, right? The tick tick of
Right
sound.
now he is touching and feeling Madhura.
Hmm.
Okay. And after that, just I'm introducing you because this is a picture which I have taken from a book called 100 Languages. So in that book, this watch was a earlier watch which used to make tick tick. So teacher has given the another exposure to the child.
Hmm.
So Madhura, now what is happening?
Yeah, the kid is listening to the sound. He's
So
here trying to
all
hear
these senses,
rhythm of that sound.
so all
Trying
the
to
senses
understand.
are covered.
Yes,
Observation
all five senses are covered.
covered.
Yeah.
Okay, great. After this, now all this information when it goes in the brain, the teacher is not saying anything. Okay, this is what she's just doing it. So one thing in the science is very important that let children do things by themselves. We should not be hurrying up to give the answer to the children because unless they ask. So let the child analyze the thing and now what child is doing.
Trying to listen.
Uh,
To
so whether
listen
the watch in the
sound from the
magazine is
picture.
making the same noise as his teacher's watch.
Yes. So the data is saying, okay, this watch does some tick tick thing, and the same thing this also should be doing because that he has not heard. So you see that the how small child, 16-year-old child's brain is working. 16-month-old child's brain is working. So that's the reason there is a need of science at preschool. When we have seen these two experiments, which I talked to you, that is shows that there is a need of science in early years. So need to help children in their reconstruction of mental abilities and process skills. So children, they can process, they can discover, they can understand what is happening. So all these things are possible. That's the reason I have told you the pen experiment and this pictorial experiment. To understand that children, they reconstruct. So earlier he has constructed that this is a watch. But later on when he heard the tick tick, he reconstructed, maybe this looks like this, but this also should be making some noise. So that is how the reconstruction is taking place. So the need of science is in a day-to-day curriculum also. So we need to have science as a part of a curriculum, which is very important. So we say always no to those toys which are battery operated or those who are operated by the key. So this kind of toys, no, it's better to give them the manipulative in early years. So they can think on those toys. So children need to recognize the science there is a need to recognize the science of young children in a natural as well as it's so natural for them as breathing is natural. So this is what we all need to understand. All the 71 participants needs to understand. Science is not as something fearful or great or very intelligent mind has to be there. It's not necessary. You need to have a exposure from the beginning and let them manipulate the thing, and this manipulation of the things are giving them some of the questions, some of the rational, some of the analysis, and like this is growing, and the cognition will grow. And once the cognition will grow, scientific temper will be developed in the children, and that is what we want. Every child should have a scientific temper. So why science for young children in preschool? So they can explore the existing environment. They can explore the plants and animals and understand about the plants and animals. They can keep alive all senses of wonder. Like you have seen how the all senses are arrived in children. To give them the experience to gain appreciation of the world around them. For this also, it's so beautiful. The so many colors of greens are there in a nature. So children needs to talk about. They should have a language. We give the language of color. Relate this language of color with the nature. So these kind of things, and then appreciate and develop the appreciation of it. I always say, people they say we should be we are teaching them primary colors. Why primary colors? Why not when you are introducing the color, they know primary colors from home only. One color more, one shade more and one shade less. This kind of we need to introduce, so children will have a language for shades also. We need to think like this, because children are 21st century children. When they come to the school, lot of knowledge they're bringing in the classroom. So when they have a differentiation, they have a mind of differentiating in the shades, then they will appreciate the nature also. And nature has so much beautiful things. So science is very important for early years because it is giving them the first-hand experience to enhance their curiosity so they can investigate and they can discover. So because children, as I told you earlier also, children, they have observational mind, they can do classification, they can describe through pictures what they have learned from it. They are the problem solver. We always somehow, here also I'm trying to, this photograph, I'm trying to say how teachers so fast go to the child's hand to give the solution. We should not do that unless child is asking for. So they are a problem solver. They establish the relationship. They give the logical reasoning also. So we need to just understand all these things. Children, they are in children. It's there. So we need to encourage cooperation among the children, sharing, so they can be together doing scientific. Together learning scientific concept, discussing scientific concept, and they can go to the complex learning as a group of children. So we need to give some program or some concept as a group of children, sit together and work on it. So when they are talking to each other, that is the time they are discussing, talking, whatever they are understanding, it is coming. It's so beautiful. So we need to give some time to the children, and having this background, now we can understand very easily what are the goals and objectives of science teaching. Science teaching, the goal is very simple: to develop ability in children so they can solve the problem in a very systematic way, in a very scientific way. And so they can achieve certain skills. And these skills are important later on in their life to do science. And we are working on their children's natural curiosity, only on their questioning. Whatever the question they are asking, we are working on it. And this working on it is suggesting us that the way they can suggest ways to find out the solutions. Children can suggest the ways to find out the solutions. So we need to help children verbalize what they find out, keep trying different things together, and label these experiences. We need to say, so they should understand that they are doing science. Otherwise, they will do the experiments, they will come out some understanding, but they were not knowing that this is what is called science. So we need to even label these experiences as science experience to the children. So we need to reach to that level. So to develop a scientific attitude, teacher need to question. And what kind of question? Let's measure and find out. So use the scientific language. Let's study the phenomenon. Let's study what happens if we do like this. So use those kind of terminology. So children will be getting the terminology also. And this will help them to gain scientific knowledge, information, and subject matter also. And this they can beautifully they can relate with the environment. So for the children to do science, the lab is the environment. So what is happening in the environment, from that learning they are getting. So we need to just give them the environment, where in the environment we can give them the toys, we can give them the magazines, we can give them the plants, trees, twigs, these kind of things. If around children, then they can do the experiments. So the objective here is children to begin to learn some science ideas. And these ideas they can put together. And after putting together, they come out with some kind of their understanding. When they put together, they develop some understanding. I'll give you the example here. One child has made an aeroplane from a knife, fork, and a spoon. So he put the spoon in between, and where the wings are there, he put the knife there, and tail place, he put the fork there. And he said, I have made aeroplane. You see, the construction which has come out, the innovation come out from the child's level is a great innovation, creation. So we need to give such an environment to the children so they can do this kind of activities in a routine, in a normal way in the classroom. Okay. So, children, they have an urge to show and discuss, listen to, and to think, manipulate, and wonder. There is a educational philosopher. He said, children have 100 hands. Children have 100 thoughts. They can think in a way, 100 imagination, 100 languages. So we need to work on all these 100 which children are having. We need to work on it. And once we start working on it, then we'll know the children will have a new interest in understanding the science. And this is what we want. So we need to keep constantly in the classroom presenting something or other related to science, so their interest in the subject alive. Now we will see what facilitate scientific thinking in children. So things are something like open-ended inquiry. If you have a pieces of things around the child and he is manipulating with those pieces, then he can come out with some product which is a very, very different product. So that way, open-ended material is very important. Then supply instruments to play. So the more the children, that's the reason we say in early years, we need to have a playway approach. Because children, they have a fantasy, they have a dreams with them, and through their dreams, they want to use this dream and prepare something which is from the waste material maybe. And they can come out with something very different, as I have given you the example of aeroplane. But whenever we are doing science, what facilitate is if environment is a safe, that also we need to take care. Then only the scientific temper will develop in children, because safe environment will be allowing them to do various activities. So if something happen which is damaging or danger for the children, or maybe the material is damaged, then it can put off children. So we need to be very, very careful when we are doing science. So safety is very important concern. When we say what facilitates science, so safety, surprise, safely surprise also facilitate. But we should be very, very careful when we are giving this kind of material in the hands of children. So some of the discoveries which children they make, for that, some of the schools have done a very interesting thing. They in a corner of the school, they have made junk yard. And all this in household junk, they have kept in a corner. And when the children are manipulating with those junk, they have become an explorer. And like this, they come out with the various ideas, and the research have shown children, they in outside activity, they are playing more in junk corner rather than swings and slides. So it shows that children have a lot of curiosity in them, and if you are giving them the material and the tools, then they can do wonders. Maybe when they go for the nature walk, when they go to the park, wherever they go, there they can see various things, different things, and those things can wonder them and give them the different ideas. And then we need to provide some information. Children need to have we don't have to provide actually. Children need to have access to information. So some books which are books of animal, books of plants, books of birds, if they are around children, they're turning the pages. So this kind of material also can facilitate them towards the science. And then the last thing is the community involvement. Children need to help other people. When they start helping other people, while helping, they are getting a lot of scientific ideas and scientific facts. So here it's very important that whatever the children they are doing, like if they are seeing the bird, seeing the uh, uh, baby bird, and then see how the mother bird is feeding the baby bird. This kind of observations, if children are seeing through the videos, or maybe the digital technology can be used. So with that, children, they will have so many questions: why it is happening, how it is happening, when it is happening, where it is happening, all these questions. And we need to celebrate as a teacher this question and give the answer to the children. Scientific process of young children. These are the processes: observation, comparing, classifying, measuring, and communicating. Okay. Now we will be seeing how this scientific temper can be fostered in children. So when we are talking about fostering, then first thing is we need to give variety of questions. And whatever the children are asking variety of questions, encourage them to ask questions. So questioning mind is very, very important for the having scientific temper. So these are 7 categories are given. These are the different type of questions that adult can ask, like a perceptual question. So that perceptual questions are about the characteristics of object, color. So when you are showing them even fruit, so you can talk about what this is, then what is the color, what is the shape. You show them the any object or any fruit, and then what they can see, they can talk about it. So sometimes what they talk, yeah, it can be you are amazed to see which you have not seen and child has seen, and child is talking about it. So that is what is perceptual. Then cognitive, where comprehension of knowledge. So here the questioning goes something like, why it is like that? What has happened? How is always talking about the process. How they have reached to this result. How they think like this. So, this, I'll give you here the example, because unless the example is there, it will not be clear. And the children's mind these are the 21st century children. They are exposed to so many things when they are coming to the school. So one child who was a sixth standard child, he he asked the teacher when the teacher was talking about Janmashtami, and she narrated the story of Krishna Janma to the children. So she talked about Kans and mother, and how her daughters was killed by Kans. So the child was saying, why they have why Kans has put them in one cell. Why Kans has not put them in separate cell, so they could not have had a children, and why he has to kill them then? So these are questions coming from children. So these are after giving the knowledge, they can use metacognition also, where they can think about the thinking. So thinking goes in the mind, and then all the thinking, they can think, why they have kept both of them in a same cell, and then so many children they were killed. That was the question. Then some question on memory, asking recall. That's nothing wrong in it. Divergent thinking, questions which have multiple answers. So from the beginning, you can give them the options. So they should know in options how to choose one option. Then convergent thinking, single correct answer. Evaluative question, where the information is matches with the whatever the criteria from which the question has been formed, and value-based question, because this is last thing which is very important, that ultimately education is for what? So they can become a value they can get value-based education, and value will be integral part of their personality. So that's the reason value-based questions are also there. So questioning should be in a different ways. And once you start questioning in a different ways, it will lead to the scientific thinking of the children. So perceptual questions are something like a shape, size, and color. Cognitive questions are something like what, why, how kind of a question. Memory questions are asking and recalling. Divergent thinking questions, where these are questions for several students' ideas regarding the presented stimulus. So divergent questions are where the different alternatives are there, and conversion is when one. So like this kind of questioning, if you're doing again and again with the children, this will definitely help. Some questions and commands which are prompting. What do you think will happen if? So if kind of question, what we call it. And I don't know either. Let us see if we can find out. So if question, then find out question. Then draw a picture. Draw a picture of what you see. Observation-based questions. So you need to see what exactly your question basis is and what level the question is. So that kind of questioning helps to develop scientific thinking. Then characteristics of an adequate science program. So when we talk about science program, so science is evidences of science can be found in every center of young children. But it is not necessary that you will find a well-balanced science program in all schools for young children. So this is the statement which is made by one of the student when we were working in the lab nursery school. And this is a part of our book because this is what is we have seen. Because every school doesn't have the balanced science program. And we need, and how to balance the science program? The kind of questionings we do and kind of laboratory we are setting up in a classroom. So this is the way you can develop a balanced science program. So for balanced science program, you need to have plan the program properly, then understand major areas of science, then interpret this, and then make a balance in activities in which the children can participate. So this is the way you can make a balanced science program. Teachers of science. So those who are becoming a teacher or those who are already a teacher in this group, 71 of you are there. In your group, the role of a teacher, especially when it comes to the science, this is very, very important role because she is the one who is as reinforcer of learning through the attention she gives. So attention, unless you give the attention to the language of the science, material of the science, questioning related to it, and language which is used in method, language which is used in science, like rationale of it, logical, this kind of language needs to be used in the classroom. So any teacher who is capable of maintaining a classroom atmosphere of warmth, accepting, nurturance, they are the one who are guiding young children in discovery and science. So if the classroom is safe, secure, and teacher has a scientific mind, then it will definitely a nurturing environment for development of science in the classroom. This is what we need to understand. So the positive thought towards science, the ability to carry out roles are needed for good teaching. So good teaching here is this, if you're when we talk about good teaching, it goes in this, your planning is both flexible and definite, your understanding all major aspects of science, interpreting the science. This is what is the good planning is all about. So that is what I am trying to tell you. Then the teacher should supplement real experiences. So take children to the nature walk, telling them simple stories with a flannel board where they can see and understand. Give them the picture books. Visit to the nearby farm. Actually, I always, whenever I talk about science in the school, always I promote that you should have some animal definitely in a school, maybe fish tank, but some fish, bird, some should be there. It's very, it gives compassion to the children to have an animal around. And a lot of researchers have shown the human development takes place in a very healthy way if the children are relating or nurturing the animals. So the teacher who can create an atmosphere in the preschool which will conducive to the child to learn scientific concept and promote scientific attitude, then only they can become real scientists. So teachers' own interest in finding out sustained children's ready curiosity. So here again, I'm saying the same thing. We don't wait for the children because they talk slowly. Their speed is not as our speed is. So we don't wait for them to complete the sentence. Before that, we give them the answer. So we need to understand first and what exactly he wants to know. And first let him try out by himself. So this is very important. So the this attitude every teacher needs to keep in mind while teaching the science. There are certain suggestions which may help the teacher. Once you have decided the topic, so you topic related, what are the basic science textbooks which are related to topic? Those books take out. Good general science textbooks, that also you take out. And put it in the classroom for weeks together till you finish that particular topic. So children, they turn the pages, they see it, they do the experiments related to it, and manipulate the things related to that. So block, when they're playing with the block, they will relate it with the topic, because the topic is so much in the mind of the child that while playing with the block or doing the creative activity, they come out certain ideas which are related to the topic, and this gives confidence to the teacher that yes, children are interested. So we need to, these are certain suggestions to the teacher, and teacher should try out the activities and experiment first. And when it works, then only she should bring in the classroom, because it's very important that she should know the material, she should know the process of doing the thing, so she should not fumble in front of the children. So that's again important. And teachers should try out simple science experiments which are suggested in the books. Sometimes the preschool, which is part of the high school, so they can hire the material, they can ask for the loan for some material from the labs and bring in the classroom, show to the children and give it back to the lab. So children are exposed to the material and equipment which are used in a scientific experiments. So when children are playing with the water play, they are playing with the sand, they are playing with the mud. So with this, when they are doing the experiments, so for that, they need certain typical type of material. So those material maybe the classroom doesn't have, but labs are having. So from those labs, they can borrow and use in the classroom. Even the simple balance, it is not there, but they have a balance. So bring that balance, use it in the classroom, and then give it back. So like this, if you are doing, then it will definitely have a lot of impact on a science teaching. Then we need to keep track of your notes on teaching. So what you're teaching about the plants, what are the activities you're doing related to plants, write it down, everything. And actually, you can even make a science journal of fallen leaves, twigs, fallen flower, and make a science journal and develop the interest in the children towards the journal also. So if we see the certain guidelines for the teachers, is plan activities, those who are challenging to the children. Because always think these are not the children of 20th century. So challenging activity where the children can do questioning, where children can do hands-on experiments, they can do where they can manipulate, and even they can have a project in the classroom where the project on animals, plants, season, weather. These are the topics she can take and make a big project. And this kind of project will help them to understand. Even simple cooking, fireless cooking, what we said is do in the classroom. So children will understand about the science of the diet, science of the nutrition. So that also is very important part of science, where this cooking should go to the, children should know about the cereals and pulses, and little bit on grains also they should be knowing. So when we talk about life cycle of the tree, so there we can go back, this food is coming from where. So the science of growing agriculture, that also can be taken into account. So children should not waste food. That is the concept here one can give through this. Then encourage children for the water play. So water play, these are certain instruments which is there in a tub. So you can have, and children can use these for the measuring experiments in the classroom. Then certain objects they can use where through this object they can get a conceptual understanding. Like a child can say, I want to, this is the child's D, I want to touch the rainbow. So, okay, this is what you want to do. And the teacher can organize in the classroom the rainbow kind of a thing and ask children to touch it. So you see the happiness which children will have if they want to know and they are knowing it. So that is what gives encouragement to the children, motivate to the children. Then methods and resources, teaching science in young children. You can have a science center in a school, or you can have a science corner in the school. As I told you, some animal or pet should be there in a school. And apart from that, in science center, you can have a magnet, magnifying glasses. You can have a non-magnetic material, objects, some balance for weighing and all. These kind of things you can keep in a corner, or make a science center where the children can go and do it. It will be so good for the children to have experiential learning. So clarifying, explaining, reinforcing, all these things are part of the, when they do the experiments, hands-on. And nowadays it's talked about hands-on much more rather than, so instead of children watching the television can be used, uh, like this is the example in which the child wore sweaters. So teacher is asking, why you're wearing sweaters? I'm freezing. It's a cold. So how do you know it's cold? So the weatherman told on the television that it's a cold. So she has got this word cold. So this is how she has learned this word. So now weatherman, so you can talk about the weatherman to the other children, then related to it, teacher can go to the one step ahead from this story and then see the temperature of the class, take out the thermometer, show them the children, this is the temperature in the classroom and this is the temperature outside the classroom. So just child is wearing the sweater, change into the activity where you talk about the weatherman as well as the thermometer. Like this, you can relate it with the day to day, then it will be more of a like coming from the children, so children's interest will be there. So experiments, observation, these are certain things which can be done easily. You can bring the resource person in a classroom, those who are you are in a Indian Women Scientists Association. So these scientists can come in the class and they can speak to the children about their work in a children's language. So children will have like these are the people who are scientists, and these are the people who have made science and they work in the laboratory. So when they talk about it from a resource person, when it comes, it has much more impact rather than we speaking to the children. So doing experiment on observation, whatever the impact is there, same impact the resource person comes and talk about his work and bring those apparatuses which he is, if he can bring those apparatuses which he has used in doing the experiment. It's a simple apparatuses, so children can see that also. So resource person can be a very good idea of bringing them in a classroom. So every term, one field trip should be there where you can take children out and show them the natural phenomenon and what are the activities which are happening outside the classroom. Field trip is very, very powerful medium to develop the child's scientific attitude, because when they go into the field and then naturally when they are seeing, it has a more impact on the children. So field trip is another, like resource person is a very powerful similar way. Field trip is also very powerful. So we need to capitalize on guessing, because children do little guessing on their observation, on their testing. So whatever the guessing they are doing on that, if you do the demonstration of that, if you do the acting, then children will be like going very close to their thought process. We talked about cooking activities. So cooking activities with example, many schools are doing this, showing children the water and then the ice and the ice melt. So all these kind of experiments are done. So I have taken very much classroom experiment only. So this kind of experiments can be done. So we need to relate science with the other subjects relate science in the curriculum, in the mathematics, in cognitive, even physical development also, and use the scientific language that earlier also I said. So relate science with the other activities which you are doing. So integrate your curriculum with uh, science, science language. Then automatically you will be seeing the scientific temper will develop in children. Um, so how to integrate science in a classroom? So for example, like we do auditory discrimination activities. So children can have a different type of bells, small bell, big bell, and all bell make a different sounds. So metal is changed. This bell has this metal. This bell has that metal. Metal is changed. The sound changes. So like this, some of the experiment on sound, then air experiment. Some of the schools are doing air experiments where they are showing children the experiment of candle, which is a very, very common experiment where if candle doesn't get the oxygen, it blows. So this kind of experiment. So need to do experiment on sound, air, gravity, temperature, taste, smell, machines, heat, electricity, cold and melting. All these kind of experiments some of the schools are doing, but consciously we need to make an effort to do experiments in the classroom so children can work together with teacher and come out with certain their own ideas. As we talked about cooking, so here, this National Curriculum Framework is also adding. Nowadays, they are talking about speak to the children language, which is a nutrition language. Like if you eat protein, your muscles will be strong. So when you talk about this to the children, then the children will have dal or maybe protein rich. They'll drink milk because they understand it. So this kind of experiments are also done by which you can talk the value of nutrition and tell them little science about it. So when they know about this science, it is helping the muscles and the bone and all those things. So maybe it interests the children towards know more about the food and how it is healthy and why it is healthy. So these kind of things are part of a national curriculum framework, and national curriculum framework has talked about this last line: food hygiene and safety shall be taken care of. So when we talk about food, and if the food is given in a school has a food school lunch program, then food hygiene is a very, very important. Because often we read in the newspaper about problems in food, and because of that children suffer. Recently it has happened, so we need to really take care of this. So food projects are very interesting, where you can pour, you can stir. Like I always, when I get this juice, because this tin juices are very, very sweet, and I don't like that sweet. So I pour water again and again, and so the sweetness should go down. So certain things, these kind of thing you can do with the children, where sugar syrup, and then you can say, if you pour the water in it, the sugar will be less, and now it will not be that sweet. It's very sweet. It's less sweet. So like this kind of experiments also can be done in a classroom. This also help children to be engaged in a activities which is related to like pouring and stirring and carrying out classes, and they like it to use this kind of material which are very scientific material, or kitchen material, also one of the very attractive things for the children. So even teach them how to cut with a blunt knife. So use the blunt knife, and they should know the process of doing the things. Maybe the product doesn't come out well, it's all right, but they should know the process of doing the things, because this process will continue later on in their lives. So we need to be definitely protect them towards the accidents. Then blocks and carpentry. Some of the schools I've seen in very, very developed schools, I can say, where a lot of material they are using. They are doing carpentry in foundation years, where the children are hammering, nailing, and they are playing with the wooden cars and wooden truck, and they're experimenting where they're putting the number plate in it, changing the number plate of it. So all these things are related to that they're doing, and then they are learning with that some of the life skills also. So carpentry is also another very, very important aspects of science, because how much to force, how much to cut, and how much force is used for nailing. All these things children, they learn when on a soft wood, if they're nailing, they're also they are getting this thing. Play with the blocks also, the big block and a small block and a smaller block, and how the relationship between the blocks is change, and then they understand the principles of science, where small block and a big block, and why the is the block height which changes, what kind of changes takes place. So this kind of material, if you are having in the class room, then it also gives a lot. In fact, here I will like to talk about Maria Montessori, because Montessori equipment, she herself was a doctor by profession. So science, she had a scientific mind. So her, all the product which she has prepared, all these products are talking about size, height, width, balance, weight, classification. All these things are part of her product. So her product, children are playing, and while playing, they understand all these concepts, which are very important to understand science. So Montessori's equipment and material, I'll say, they are developed very scientifically, and one can use it also in a classroom very easily. Animals and plants, we have discussed a lot. Field trip also we have discussed a lot. Now I'm talking of the branches of science. Here, what we need to understand in early childhood education, we can talk easily and we can integrate easily life science, physical science, health science, chemical science, and earth and environmental science. These are the 5 areas which Wolfinger has 1994, he has talked about, and Lind 1995, she has talked about. These kind of contents are definitely part of the early years program, and we should be keeping it in our early years program. So maybe you can give the name, that's all right. You don't give the name, that is also all right. But that this program should be part of the developmental program which we are having in early years. So foundation years may, unless, and they have, if by name, if we are going, the advantage is we will not losing some aspect. So we should not be losing some aspect of science when we are working with the young children. And for the one curriculum goal in NCF is talking about only plants and animals. And plants and animals in foundation years plays a very, very significant role. So it is an area of study that provides many fun opportunities to learn first-hand information about plant and animals. So children can observe plants, children can nurture plants, children can cover plants, children can do many can see the life cycle of the plant from the seeds to roots to stem. It's not just on a on a teaching aid, but live also they can do this. If the space is there near the school, then they can plant the seed and they can water the plant and see the and then while doing it, the whole concept of light, minerals, warmth, air will come to the child. So, and then they will know this can be used, the material can be used in the food and the medicine. So this relationship of having the natural thing with the day-to-day life, which we are using, it is coming from plant. So that kind of concept we need to give, we need to change our curriculum from our age-old 20th century to 21st century, where we need to relate all these things with the plant rather than we take the life cycle of the plant and finish it off there. So it's very important that these certain concept we need to add. Similarly, with the animals also, there are many animals and animals move differently. Then we are doing domestic animal and wild animal. uh, And their babies also we talk about, but we need to talk about their food, their shelter, and their adaptability. We can go towards the adaptability of the why they are not here, why they can be there only, why some can stay in Mumbai, why some cannot stay in Mumbai. You can talk about these things, whether integrate two subjects together and go little in depth. Then physical science, where we talk about the air, air takes space. This experiment most of the schools are doing. Then reflection of mirror. Mirror plays a very significant role. And seeing the reflection, they understand the 3D effect. So understanding of that effect is there. Even uses of electricity is also where it is. As I told you, science is not only in the classroom. It is at home also, where it is used. So you can give the homework something like this. Send a circular where you are using electricity at home and find out 5 things. So this kind of homework, if you are giving to the children, that is, then the children will be curious to know where the electricity is used at home. So that kind of homework is needed. So you can bring school in a classroom. Then some objects of physical science can be put in the classroom, so children will be. So as I told you, mirror gives a lot of impact on our child. This is another the classroom. I have taken the photograph here. They're using mirror a lot. So children can see in the depth, and because they can see in the depth, so they have a greater understanding of a 3D effect. Then here you can use the digital technology to show the children how the wall, the color of wall can change, the design of wall can change if you want to change it. So those kind of simple concept, interesting concept, and children will know even wall are coming from a different colors, and you can see what kind of wall you want. So you can decide from this. So that way it can be useful. Then concave and convex lenses, these also one can use, and children can see the difference between the two concave and convex lenses. Then effect of light. So how the light, different light is giving different colors. So that concept through electricity, through light, you can give to the children in a classroom itself. Then earth and environment science, here the most earth science, it should be taught in a very familiarizing, you can use a familiarizing object and phenomenon, by which if you talk about earth science, then it will be easy for the children. So we can talk about properties of water related to sea. So wherever the sea is there, education is contextual. So wherever the sea is there, you can talk about this. When the sea is not there, you talk about the river. If river is not there, you can talk about pond. So you need to take contextual environment and then familiarize children according to that. Then this kind of curriculum will definitely help children. Then types of rocks and shells which are there around children, and the seasons. We don't take pride that we have 3 strong seasons. We have rainy, summer, and winter. We have never taken pride in it. We have all seasons, and all seasons are coming beautifully. So talk about it. Let children enjoy this. Then health science, where we all talk about body parts and its significance, but we need to now talk about bodies need food, water, air, and relate it with the air, pure, pure air, polluted air, pure water, polluted water. All these things need to be taught to the children. Then we talk about hygiene, so cleanliness will come. So these aspects of healthy and nutritious food. See, now we are not talking about diet. We are not talking about junk food and healthy food. We are talking about nutritious food. So let children, because what is happening, children are not seeing what they are eating. And the extreme has happened when the teacher asks, "Do you want more?" So child is asking, "I don't know. My mother knows I want more or not." So these are some things which we document, and then we get understanding that children are not knowing the stomach size, their stomach is full or not. So we need to work on these areas also, and it's very interesting. When we talk about health science, we definitely talk about all 5 senses and nutritious food. Then chemical science, what is dissolving in the water, what is not. Then soap foaming, a lot of bubbles we are making, and this kind of thing. This every school is doing salt water or sugar water experiments. So most of the then crackers, I will say, is a question mark. Should be or should not be. I don't know. Then petrol and petrol's uses can be talked, because we are not bringing petrol in the classroom, but it's because most of the children have seen there are petrol pumps, or there is a diesel pump, and petrol and diesel, these are the 2 terminologies now. So you can talk about its uses. So things which are very commonly we are dealing with nowadays. There are so many uh, publishers. They are making books, storybooks, and all those things. And the families are, most of the families are uh, uh, making children learn all those things. So we need to go a little beyond. So your school can be like very interesting place for the children. Then catering for the learning science. So why we are learning science? So children can become a discoverer. Abhi to we are not cracking our first step only when it is told by the NCF or written in NEP also. Children should be taught in mother tongue. Because if they taught in mother tongue, they will understand what they are learning. They are learning something which they are not understanding. So they are not becoming a discoverer. They are not becoming the explorer. So if they do in their mother tongue with greater understanding, then it is possible that they can become a discoverer. So what they are learning, they are not knowing. That kind of education will not help. So conceptual understanding is very important if you want to have a science in the classroom, maybe in whatever way you want. Okay, so these are certain references which I have used for this talk, and thank you.